it's Marc Laurenson here, and I'm here with my dear friend Rasika Manjari, and she is going to be sharing with us lots of information about a wonderful spiritual practice called Bhakti Yoga. So, hello, Rasika. Nice to have
Hi,
you.
Mark. Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So, Rasika, what exactly is Bhakti Yoga? How would you describe it for the people that don't know much about it?
Yeah, look, I love this question because Bhakti Yoga really, ultimately, when you get down to it, it's just a love affair. It's really a love affair, but the ultimate love affair, because as part of the Bhakti Yoga tradition and also many spiritual traditions around the world, the human is understood to actually be a soul in a human body.
Yeah.
So this love affair that I speak of is actually the connection or the unification between that soul, the individual soul, and the supreme soul.
I love
with
that.
the supreme divine. Yeah. So this connection is really what Bhakti Yoga is about. And it's actually evidenced in its actual name. So Bhakti means devotion, and yoga means in the Sanskrit to yoke or to connect and unite.
Right.
So Bhakti Yoga means to connect in loving devotion. So really, when you come down to it in a nutshell, that's what it's about. And it's actually all about, engaging our senses in this pursuit of connection. So, because, we all have senses, and it's just about engaging them in a way that's going to be really beneficial and help us achieve that deep, loving connection.
Isn't that great? I love it. I love the idea of that because, we're also caught up in our everyday lives, aren't we? We're also caught up in trying to make ends meet and paying bills and just getting ahead. And we really do forget about who we truly are, don't we? We really do forget about what we're on the planet for, in the deepest possible way. And from what you're telling me, it sounds like this is a great, a great guide to understand that and to get in tune with that.
For sure, Mark. And, the beauty of it is that we're all, we're all on a journey of some description or another. And for Bhakti Yoga to engage with it, to be a part of it, you don't have to have any qualifications whatsoever. And that was a great puller for me, because really, you don't have to be beautiful, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be smart, none of those things. You can just be you, because ultimately Bhakti Yoga just wants you as you are. And that's really why everyone can actually access the secrets of Bhakti Yoga. It's not for the limited few. And basically, it's ultimately when you really start to experience the benefits of Bhakti Yoga, it's the secret of happiness that no one tells you about.
Yeah.
So it's really something worth exploring if someone is that way inclined.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you just said is so prevalent today. I mean, it's been going on for a long, long time, but it just seems to be now everyone is trying to be something, aren't they? Everyone's trying to be prettier or to get more fans, or you know what I mean, to be richer. There's this scramble for all the stuff outside of ourselves to. It's almost like we need to prove ourselves that way. And when you said you don't have to be anything, I love that. I love the idea of that. I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly, there's no disqualification basically for it. So, it's something, there's something for everyone, really. Yeah.
It's great. So you have a wonderful website, newheart-newworld.com. If everyone looks over into the chat column, you can see it. New Heart, all one word, New World, all one word.com. So that's your website, Rasika. So could you tell us a little bit about your website and your other platforms that you have that people can access and learn from?
Yeah, so my website and also the other platforms. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. So
Mm-hmm.
really, that's where you can find videos and different posts, just exploring the principles and practice of Bhakti Yoga. So ultimately, the whole effort of New Heart, New World is really an invitation because, as the name implies, I mean, it's designed to help us regenerate or rejuvenate our hearts so that they become refreshed into something that's more than just, on the material plane. So when we explore that spiritual side of ourselves, which we all have, and of course, when we all do that and join together in community, that becomes the new world.
Mm.
And so this is, part of the uh, goal or the intention of my website and the other platforms. And, on my website, you can find an introduction to a lot of the different concepts of Bhakti Yoga and some of the basic principles. So there's actually quite a bit of information there to start with, but there's also a bookshelf there where, someone can explore more deeply into what it means to be a Bhakti yogi. And also, because it's a sensory experience, Bhakti Yoga, there's a section on mantra, or the sacred sound, which includes mantra meditation. So there are recordings there of chanting the mantra, the Maha Mantra particularly, which is the great mantra, and also singing it in congregation, which is called kirtan. So there are recordings, so anyone can access those just to get a sense of what it's like, to be immersed in that kind of world. And ultimately, anytime we change our lifestyle or we embark on a new endeavor, it's good to have good company. So in the contact section, there's a list of, all the centers internationally of ISKCON, which actually stands for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which is actually Bhakti Yoga, but it's the side of Bhakti Yoga that was brought to us in the West from the East, from India, by very, very incredible personalities. So basically, there are contacts to all those international centers. So it's really easy to get in touch with someone near you, and you can explore Bhakti Yoga even more by actually having that first-hand one-on-one experience.
Sounds great. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I've actually listened to quite a few of your YouTube talks. They're fabulous. They're fabulous. I love them, and they often stay with me for quite a long time. After I've had a good listen to them, it feels like they seep into my being, and that whole week they kind of resonate with me for the whole week. So I really appreciate your YouTube clips. They're beautiful. They're really, really beautiful. And it's always good to be reminded. So Rasika, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey getting to this part of your life?
Yeah, Mark, what a journey it's been. I tell you, it's been quite a journey. But look, I guess you could say it's really a rags to riches story, my journey. And I mean that in a spiritual sense. So, I attribute, my earlier difficulties and struggles, which actually included a mental health crisis at one point. I mean, I attribute that to really having had a lack of spiritual understanding and knowledge, and also, leading a lifestyle that was relatively bereft of, spiritual guiding principles. So that's what I attribute my, struggles in earlier life to. However, by some good fortune, I found Bhakti Yoga, and really that was the beginning of the beginning for me. And it had all the answers that I could have ever asked. And within the philosophy, because the philosophy is very comprehensive and vast, in fact, but within that, I found those unanswerable, those answers to the unanswerable questions that I had been asking for so many years. So really, that's what it was for me. And the beauty of it, what I loved about it, was that it was not just the philosophy in itself, but it was actually the tangible experience of being with a like-minded community, and as I said, those sensory experiences, which are really amazing in Bhakti Yoga. So, ultimately it led to a total transformation of my life and my heart, and basically, if we had a before and after shot, I mean, that would be really great, because really it would really tell you about the degree of transformation.
An extreme makeover.
Extreme makeover.
Makeover.
Yeah, big glow up it was. And really, that's what happens is when you have such good fortune, or you have something that's just you've got an abundance of something great, then you just have to share it. And it's not like chocolate cake where you don't want to share it. This kind of goodness is the kind of stuff that just has to be shared. You can't keep it to yourself. So here I am, just sharing it as much as I can.
Wonderful. Well, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful and so generous, and it gives you an understanding of the generosity of spirit and Bhakti Yoga and the universe and God. You know what I mean? It's such a generous energy, and when you're really filled with it, that's all you want to do, as you just said, is to share it, to give it out in some kind of way. So, Rasika, if somebody was starting Bhakti Yoga, starting a life in that direction, what would you advise them to begin with? Is it a spiritual discipline of sorts? Would they have to go into a kind of like a routine, or is there other ways of them being able to bring this into their lives?
Well, really, what I guess what one can expect, when they embark on the journey of Bhakti Yoga, because really ultimately it's a journey, because it's ever expanding and there's really no limits to it. So when you start on the journey of Bhakti Yoga, I mean, first of all, what's a real enticing aspect of it is the sumptuous feasts and the incredible gorgeous festivals, and there are a lot of them throughout the year. So if someone gets in contact, or you get in contact with your local ISKCON community or Bhakti Yoga community, I mean, you can just be a part of that, and really that's really quite amazing. And as I said before, there's something for everyone, so we have the music, we have the festivals, we have the philosophy, we have the literature, we have the mantras, we have the prayer, we have really everything there. And so wherever you start in Bhakti Yoga, whatever tickles your fancy, really, you can start there. And of course, it just goes on from there. And so really, it's ultimately designed to uplift the soul and just bring us back to the joy that really is our origins. Because as we learn from the Bhakti Yoga teachings, this culture and philosophy and lifestyle and practice is actually the universal and natural experience of the soul. So it's universal. So it's, we say that God is one, and there are no distinctions or delineations or limitations. It's all about just connecting back to who you're really meant to be. And in terms of the discipline required, well, like anything worth having, some sort of endeavor and effort is required. I mean, really, that's what it is. And anything good for you, you need to work at it, or of course there's going to be
focus on
challenge.
it, or
focus, exactly. Exactly. So basically, it's no different with spiritual life, and Bhakti Yoga is the same. And basically, ultimately, it may present as a challenge in terms of the discipline required to, just engage in the lifestyle practices of Bhakti Yoga. It's just because we're just not used to leading a spiritual life. But once that's practiced, and of course, practice makes perfect, it becomes second nature. And that's when the benefits are really reaped.
Yeah.
So the benefits just start rolling in after that. And, the discipline is ultimately designed to make that connection that I spoke of before, that divine connection between the individual soul and the supreme soul. And really, once that connection is made, it's just sheer pleasure. I mean, it's not
It doesn't
really
feel like
discipline
work
at all. It's
anymore.
exactly,
Doesn't feel like
yeah,
work.
it doesn't. Well, it's not, because it's the natural state of the soul, really. So
Yeah,
you're just
exactly.
tapping into that, yeah. And actually, that's the word mantra. I mean, most people are familiar with the word mantra, but what it comes from is man, which actually means mind in the Sanskrit, and tra, which means liberation. So mantra is actually liberation of the mind. It's freeing the mind. So, ultimately, any freedom really worth having is gained by some kind of discipline. So mantra is the same. So
Yeah.
when we chant these mantras, the sacred mantra, basically we're liberating ourselves. So
Yeah.
you can see that it's really discipline, but not, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not really
yeah.
discipline.
It's not,
It's
yeah,
just more of a reminder or a focus, isn't it?
yeah,
It's a feeling of having to
yeah,
remind ourselves of who we
yeah,
truly are in the end.
yeah,
That's the main thing that I'm getting from this. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have to
yeah.
get up this morning and I have to do such and such. It feels like
Mm,
I have to just remind myself of my
yeah,
connection with the be all,
yeah,
and now
yeah,
be able to live my life in accordance to that, with that. And
yeah.
it doesn't feel like work, as you said.
Sure. Yeah, it's true. And the easiest way though to make it part of your life and to really grow in that spiritual practice is to be with like-minded people, to
Yeah,
be in good company, good association. And this is where your local Bhakti Yoga Center can help you out with that. And of course, anyone interested in Bhakti Yoga, I just encourage them to reach out and connect, yeah, with our local centre, because thankfully it is an international type of spiritual practice. And the teachings from the East were brought, very lovingly by this amazing personality I was telling you about. You can find out about him on my website. And because of that, we have this international community. So really, anywhere you go, you can tap into the bliss of Bhakti Yoga. So, yeah.
and that's all on your
Hmm.
website, newheart-newworld.com.
Yeah.
People can actually go onto there and be able to be directed to these particular areas, particular places. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. So if you go to the contact page, you can see there are the international centres around the world there, and you can just click on there and look up your local area. And there are different aspects of ISKCON, in a sense that there's the farm communities, there are Bhakti Yoga centres, there are temples, there are schools. There are actually very many varied points of contact that you can actually access. So yeah, I'm just encourage everyone to have a look and see where your local centre is. So definitely, it's worth exploring, I would say.
Yeah, thank you, Rasika. Is there a little final kind of sign off you would like to add um,
Yeah.
about Bhakti Yoga, or about yourself, or just about life before we finish with the interview?
Look, I would say that, if love and if happiness is important to you, then you owe it to yourself to actually explore that and really make sure that you have the best of the best in terms of the experience you have of those things, because sometimes, a material world, we're limited in how much of the unconditional love we can experience, or the joy that is unlimited in a sense, or that is uninterrupted. So we have to turn for that kind of experience to spiritual endeavors, and this is where Bhakti Yoga steps in. And if you do want to have an incredible love affair that surpasses all other love affairs, then I do encourage you to just see what Bhakti Yoga can offer you. And don't forget that it has something for everyone. So you no doubt have a positive experience wherever you dip your toes in. And believe me, there's a vast ocean out there. So once you dip your toes in, really, there's a lot more to come. So yeah, that's what I would have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Rasika. Rasika's website, again, everybody, is newheart, all one word, -newworld, all one word, .com. And all the information that Rasika is talking about is on there. So thank you very much, Rasika Manjari, for talking with me today. I feel all inspired, and I feel very, very happy and very peaceful inside. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks so much, Mark. It was a real pleasure. I'm a great fan. So thanks again.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.